Hey everybody, we have an epically awesome project in store today, and what we're going to end up doing is using a pinch pot, which most of us have made before, and we're going to turn that upside down, and we're going to take some clay pieces and we're going to end up building a clay turkey kind of like this one. So without further ado, let's get started. Each table will share a tool container. Each person needs their own bag with their name on it along with your class. Use a Sharpie marker. We each need our own paper clip, placemat paper, and then I will give you a ball of clay. Once you've got your bag with your name on it, we're going to take a little bit of this clay and we're going to end up taking some pieces off that we're going to use for pieces of our turkey a little bit farther down the line. Now anytime I'm not using these pieces of clay, it's a really good idea to make sure they don't dry out by putting them in my bag. And even though I don't have to seal it, I maybe want to give it a little fold over so the air can't get to it. Now, to start my pinch pot, I need to take this piece of clay and I'm going to form it into a sphere, which is a three-dimensional round object, kind of like a ball. Now, I'm rolling it back and forth like this. If it's easier for you, you can kind of shape it like a snowball. And one of the big things to make your life easier is to remember to smooth out those cracks. Once you've got that round, smooth ball, you need to take a thumb and you're going to push straight in. You don't want to push at an angle. You want to push your thumb straight down into that pinch pot, or what's going to be a pinch pot, and turn it. Now you'll know you've done it right if you can look into that thumb hole and it doesn't look like it's gone in at an angle. And in terms of how far from the bottom, you want your thumb to be about that far from your finger if you were to kind of use a caliper kind of like that. It's called a pinch pot because it's formed by pinching. So my thumb goes back in and I'm going to start to pinch. And if you're looking, this is the bottom. Each time I pinch, I turn a little bit, pinch, turn, pinch, turn, pinch, turn. Once I've gone all the way around the bottom, my fingers move up to the middle. Pinch, turn, pinch, turn. And of course, once I've gone around the middle, then my fingers move up to the top and I continue to pinch and turn. And this is exactly what we're looking for. We want something that resembles a pot. That's why it's called a pinch pot. And around the top, you might see some pieces, kind of like mine, where the clay kind of looks like it's starting to separate. No big deal. Take your thumb, smooth them in. At this point, we're going to open that paper clip up and we are going to write our name inside our pinch pot. We're not going to be doing any more forming on our pinch pot, so our name is going to stay inside there. Projects without names aren't going to be fired. If you need help with your name, please raise your hand and let me help you out. Pay attention to what I do with these two larger pieces. To make the wings, we are going to need to push some of this into a fairly flat, what we call slab of clay, and the way to do that is to make sure we're working on the paper and to gently push. And I'm going to repeat over here with this piece. I'm going to turn this so you can see it a little bit better because I'm going to end up carving kind of an oval out of this piece of clay, and that's going to become my wing shape. Paper clips work really well just in terms of being able to draw, because if you push lightly enough, you get a nice line like that, and it allows you to be able to see if that's the shape you want. So that's the shape I want. Now I'm just going to kind of keep tracing with my paper clip until that shape is entirely cut out of my clay. My shape has been cut out. There's the extra clay right there. And before I do anything else, I want to make sure that I don't have any rough edges, so I do want to use my finger to smooth these in. Once your edges are smooth, you're going to actually use that piece to trace. So you have two wings that are almost identical. And then cut those out. Just like before, I do want to smooth those edges real smooth. Before we put these wings onto the turkey's body, we do want to use something to kind of give it the texture of feathers. And you could use this tool, or better yet, since we all have one of these, we could use the rounded end of the paper clip. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the right side, and I'm going to gently push just the edge of my paper clip into my clay. And I'm going to do that kind of in a straight line and then work my way across to the left side. So by using that paper clip, you are able to get a pretty nifty looking texture on those wing pieces. Now comes the super important part. If we're going to put these wings onto the side of this pinch pot, we need to score where those wings are going to go. And scoring is just using a tool, or in this case my paper clip, to make a nice rough surface where I can join these pieces of clay together. So wherever that clay is literally going to touch the other piece of clay, I want to make sure I score a nice rough texture. It should be rough enough that if you turn it sideways, you can see clay pieces sticking up like a bad hair day. Gently push, and then smooth the bottom in completely. Take your time with this. Nothing looks worse in clay than seeing a bunch of fingerprints and a bunch of really heavy finger indentations. Smooth it in, nice and neat. Repeat with your other wing. Don't forget the score. Now we're going to take this other piece of clay and we're going to start to form the head and the neck of this turkey. So you're going to roll what we call a coil, and you want your coil to be slightly larger than a pencil. Easiest way to do that is to roll it with your fingers just like I'm doing right here. Every once in a while you'll get it into kind of an ovular shape like that. Turn it up straight and just gently push with your fingers until it resembles kind of a long stretched out cylinder. Go ahead and set your turkey's neck aside in your bag for just a moment. We'll come back to that piece in just a second. Now, if you still have some extra clay, awesome. If you need some extra clay at this point, raise your hand, because we need to build the tail feathers. And just like we did with the wings, we are going to push our clay into a nice flat slab, and then we're going to use our paper clip again to draw something similar to what I'm about to do here. Kind of a modified oval shape, if you can see that. Just like we did with the wings, remember to smooth the sides in. Now to make it look kind of like there's actual feathers here, all I'm going to do is push my paper clip in and cut out these little triangular notches, and I'm going to do that all the way across the top, and then I'll end up using my fingers to kind of pull them out a little bit so they do look a little bit more feather-like. I use my paper clip again to add a texture to the tail feathers, because eventually we're going to join these on the back right about there. In scoring this piece, we want to score down at the bottom because a lot of this is actually going to stick up kind of over the back of that pinch pot. So if you think about it, you want to score an area that's roughly the width of your paper clip. Gently going to push. If your wings are in the way, don't sweat it, because that clay should still be soft enough that you can pull those wings out of the way and fit those tail feathers on. Push firmly, and don't forget to smooth the bottom. I'm going to take my neck piece back out, and I'm going to use a little extra clay now and roll a clay ball, a sphere again, except this time, once it's into a ball shape, I'm going to use my finger and roll back and forth on one side and hopefully end up making something that kind of looks like a candy corn shape. This is going to become the turkey's head, and then I'm going to pull it all gently in between my fingers, kind of just like this, until I have something that should hopefully start to look like a head with a beak. If you have any extra clay and you want to add a wattle, we're going to add the wattle after we join this piece to the neck piece. So I do need to make sure I score. If this is the piece that I'm going to add on to my neck piece, I'm going to score it nice and rough. And then if you have a neck piece that has these kind of wonky edges, go ahead and gently slice those off. Smooth them real quick, score them, and then you got it. We are going to join these together. Push firmly. Smooth all of this in, all the way around. Almost done with that turkey's head, but before I add it onto the body, I am just going to use kind of an old scrap piece of clay and cut a small little wattle shape out of it. I have no idea what a turkey wattle looks like, so let's hope it looks like this. And then I do need to do a little tiny bit of scoring, maybe just by poking my paper clip into my clay right there. And the same thing on this edge. And push firmly and smooth. Now obviously that wattle looks absolutely enormous, so I am going to have to do some trimming. One wattle ready to go. Alright, now if I'm going to join this head and neck, then I have to score, and I believe we are almost to the point where this is probably going to be one of the last scoring opportunities we have on this project. Scoring is a great thing because it makes sure that no matter what, your project is going to stay together for a very, very long time and it won't fall apart. And I'm going to gently push, smooth the bottom. Now we do want to smooth inside this seam or this joint that gets formed right here, and you could use the rounded edge of your paper clip to smooth that part out, or you could also experiment with maybe using a tool similar to this one to gently smooth inside there. And if you'd like to, very gently bend your turkey's head out to a shape that you want. And I'm going to show you how to make the eyes, and then we're going to call this project finished. It's going to require a gentle touch to make these eyeballs on this turkey because we're going to use the flat edge of colored pencil. We are going to have to hold the head, and we are gently going to push that pencil in and then give it a small turn, and then use the point to make the eye. And repeat on the other side. When it's time to clean up, we've got two different trays on this cart by the paint shirts. Any finished projects go on top. Any unfinished projects, please put your clay inside the bag with your name on it, seal the top of that bag, and leave it on this bottom tray right here. Projects up here tell me that you are done, and once that project is dry, I will put it in the kiln. Cleaning up our clay project today should be quite easy. Please just make sure that all the tools are back in the tool container, and you can leave them over here on the countertop by sink number 3. The placemat papers we are going to keep. The paper clip, however, and all this extra clay on top of that placemat paper, that can go in the trash. Your placemat paper can go back on that cart on the bottom level, right next to all the projects that are in bags, so we can reuse these next time. Clay can leave your hands feeling pretty dry, so it's a good idea to make sure you wash them with soap and water. So that's it for our clay project. It's pretty cool, pretty fun project, and it shouldn't take us too many class periods. I was thinking 1, maybe 2, but we definitely want to have these things all the way finished and glazed, ready to take home before we go on Thanksgiving break. I have an extra special shout out. I do want to thank Peyton in 4th grade for suggesting this project. Although originally we had talked about making a pinch pot ghost, obviously Halloween has passed, so we are going to make these pinch pot turkeys. Thank you for the suggestion. Everybody else, thank you for taking care of business, being respectful, responsible, and safe, and a big thank you also for cleaning up appropriately. It makes my job of cleaning the room after you leave way easier. Thanks.